give yourself a pat on the back because you are right here, right now for a reason. Welcome to the On Purpose podcast, where together we will empower ourselves and others to live lives with more passion and purpose. How you doing this morning, Jared?
Man, I feel great, Ali. How are you, my friend?
Feeling fantastic.
Looking sharp as ever. I love seeing you first thing in the morning. Always looking good, ready to play your role in life, man.
Yes, sir. You already know what we got going on today.
Oh, man, where are we at? Dude, first off, let's talk about what we're doing. And I'm humbled. And I shared a story with you the other day about a guy I'd never talked to in my neighborhood crossing the street, seeking some just input and coaching based off listening to the podcast and the videos we're doing. So, man, it's very humbling to know we're reaching so many people and that we are impacting them in a good way to help them find purpose in their lives. And so what I want to ask is for all our listeners out there, if this podcast is helping you, you're enjoying your time with us, you're starting to do your purposeful practice and see results, please do not keep it to yourself. Share that. Like it, give us a review, let your friends know what you're up to, because that's one of the ways we keep going. We're not, there's no ads, nothing else going on to make money right here, but we do need you guys to help us reach more people so that we're all having more purpose in our days, our lives, and in our relationships. So I'm humbled, Ollie. I'm humbled.
Yeah, I love it. Hit that subscribe button. Help us help you stay accountable. And we'll stay accountable together. If you subscribe, you'll get every weekly update with every episode. So we have decided that we're going to be a little bit more hands-on with the On Purpose community and review the purposeful practice each week from the previous episode. So last week's episode was about rest days and recovery, the myths around that and the truths around that. Jared, what did you find in your purposeful practice with how often and how you exactly rest and recover?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. For me, I was really thinking back to how I used to rest, because I've always been an athlete my whole life. And when I was younger, a rest day to me meant like rest. Like I wouldn't do anything. And that would kind of let my body recover, let my mind recover. But as I've gotten older, if I take days and don't move at all, I get more sore, more stiff. So I am much more in active recovery. So I just change up what I'm doing, but I stay in motion. Like the other day we played volleyball, we ran a 5K. Like those aren't things I do every day. So they're recovery in a different way, meaning I'm not pushing my body the same way I do all the time, or my mind, giving your mind a little bit of a rest, not doing the same things all the time.
Yeah. And then what about your requirements? Do you have specific requirements?
I just got to earn it, man.
Yeah.
I think that was probably the biggest thing for me is when I was younger, like Saturday was a rest day. Even if I didn't do shit Monday through Friday or I coasted, I was like, oh, it's a rest day, so I eat whatever I want. And now I'm like, no, I really got to earn that. And I think I take more pride in earning that recovery and the rest day. And you got us on the 75 Hard Challenge with Andy Frisella's crew. Big shouts out to him for putting that together and really motivating and creating another community. And with that, we don't get cheat meals.
Yeah.
So now it's kind of fun because, just going and eating a cheeseburger and French fries sometimes was like recovery because it tasted good and it was fun. But now I'm like, okay, I even have to plan my meals. Like, how do I create a recovery meal without cheating?
Right.
So the other day I showed you how to put some coconut milk creamer in your coffee to sweeten it up.
Yeah.
So it's not cheating, but it's just another way to kind of a healthy way to get some good sweets.
Yeah, definitely. No, I love it, and gratitude towards you for really helping me out with a lot of the coaching of that active recovery, and I think I've really evolved similar to your story of like the weekends off, not doing shit, eating whatever, to where now I truly feel that I rest and recover actively each day within my day, throughout my day, after I do everything that needs to be done. And like you're saying, we weren't resting over the weekend, but it wasn't in the office just doing work, right? We're running 5K, playing volleyball, so similar on that end. And then as well, same thing with the requirements is like if I didn't earn it, I'm not rested, and typically my body will let me know if I need to rest, right? So that's kind of where I'm at. But I'm really excited for today's episode. I think this is right in line with what we've been talking about in the previous episodes with being perfect and rested with recovery. The title of this episode is Small Acts, Big Impact. So first question that I have for you, Jared, is just these 4 words. What does that title mean to you? What goes through your head when you see small acts, big impact?
Yeah, I love it. And it's literally, to me, what I feel and I see when I hear that is how you should live every day. I think so many people don't do what they want to do. They're like, okay, I'm going to wait for this big moment. Life's about all these big moments that they don't act, and it's really about a bunch of small moments. If you act properly on these small moments, you'll lead to a big moment, or you'll look back and realize those small moments created your big moment. So it kind of ties into what we've talked about, is acting and not waiting for perfect all the time.
Yeah, love that.
Small acts think about it, like small acts are what make your day. Very few days do you have the car crash that defines your life. Do you have the earthquake, the big trauma that you're like, oh, I survived this and I fought through it, and it was great. But you have a lot of small things, greeting strangers, interacting with somebody, truly caring about another person, picking them up when they're down, leaning on them when you're down. And at the end of the day, those small acts, at least for me, are what I remember about my journey.
Yeah.
Those are where the memories are made. What do you think when you hear that?
Well, I think the same thing. I love how you start your mornings, and honestly, I'm trying to incorporate a little bit more of your morning routine into mine with how you journal and you do your stuff every morning. One of my biggest things, which I actually don't think I've talked about much on the podcast, is gratitude. Exercising gratitude. I have a movement, if you guys are interested, DATGRAT, DATGRAT, stands for Daily Action Towards Gratitude. And I was very privileged to be raised with gratitude practice in the household, bless the food. Even the first time we would get in the car, we had a prayer, thanking God and for protection and all that, to where exercising gratitude is a small thing. It's a small thing that a lot of people overlook. But especially, just like anything, if you bring it with energy and exercise gratitude, man, thank you. I woke up today. I have 2 hands, 2 arms, 2 legs, the ability to see, touch, taste, hear, smell. I have all these things to be grateful for. Those small actions really make a big impact in my life and in other people's lives. And like you're saying, the small things, like making eye contact with people, that's something that I consciously train. And I always try not to look away first to hold that, right? Not like an ego thing, but just to make that and try to give a soft smile. It's hard nowadays for people to make eye contact and smile. These small things, give compliments, talking to strangers. I'm single now, so sometimes I'm like, go make conversation with that cute woman in the grocery store, like just execute on just a small thing. Right. Small things do make a big impact for sure.
So isn't that funny? Like off topic here, but I find it so amazing in today's world that if you go up and approach a young lady in a grocery store, just to piggyback off your example, you're kind of a creeper. You're a stalker. That all these red flags go off. But if she needs a ride somewhere, she can hit up the Uber app, and if you're that random stranger that picks her up, you're the man. You know what I mean? Like it's weird. We want interaction in certain ways, but then like in-person interaction sometimes is offensive. Right. So it's interesting to me that how you deliver your small acts is the key right here. And you got to read it. I think, honestly, if more of us paid attention to the small things around us, the stranger we passed, the person we could talk to, the person that we worked next to for 20 years of our life, but we really never got to know them.
Right.
But if you think about how much time you spent together, a huge impact in your life, like how much better would every day be?
It's incredible. It's a small acts. I'm really grateful for the fact that we're doing DATGRAT, so we actually interview a stranger each day about gratitude. And I've had the privilege of getting to know a lot of the homeless people around here, because sometimes I'm getting denied, and then I'll see one of the homeless guys. And it's funny how big of an impact that small act can have. asking them about what they're grateful for, if they have a gratitude practice, and how they define gratitude. I mean, it changes their day. And not just the homeless people, but it takes maybe 2 minutes or less of my day, just a small act, and it has a massive impact on people. And there's so many things. One book that comes to mind is called The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. Give it a read if you haven't. Darren Hardy is the publisher of Success Magazine, and his dad was a super strict military guy. And he talks about how all success is doing small actions consistently all the time, like compound interest, right? Compound, and it starts to compound, and then it has this massive effect, the compound effect. So let's talk about some real life examples, Jared. When we talk about small acts, big impact? I talked a little bit about some Dat Grat stuff, but let's get a little bit deeper. What are some examples of some small acts that have impacted you? That somebody else has done a small act that really impacted you?
Yeah, I will tell you, man, I don't even have to think twice about that one. I can go back to when I was about 12 or 13 years old. I was in a rough spot in life. I was very angry, I was fighting, I was defiant. Anything that looked like a rule that I didn't want, I was going to fight against. And, those of you guys have been with us for a while know how I feel about my mom and her impact on me. But I got so bad at that point in my life, my mom, who was my biggest fan forever, quit coming to watch what I did. She quit being there for sports. She quit wanting to spend time with me because I was so angry, so mean, so out of control. And it just happened to be basketball season where I grew up, and there was this referee named Bruce, and he was a volunteer at our youth center. And literally every game I was getting in fights on the court. I was throwing the ball at people. I was out of control. And he kept kicking me out game after game. And one Sunday, he showed up at my house. And I remember looking outside, and I was like, man, what is he doing here? Because I could have swore the dude hated me. Because all he did is kick me out of the games I was trying to play. And he asked to talk to my mom, so I got my mom, and I was like, shit, this is not going to be good. Bruce is at my house talking to my mom. I'm definitely in trouble. And they talked for a few minutes, and she's like, hey, grab your coat. You're going to go with Bruce. And I was like, oh, boy, this is definitely not good. So I walk out, and I'll never forget, I get in this little van, and it has the youth center decal on the side, so I know, okay, it's something to do with the youth center, which is where I was spending all my time. And as I get in the back, there's probably 4 or 5 other little kids, and they're all the dudes I would fight with. They're just like me, angry, mean. I just remember they're all sitting there with their arms folded, and I'm like, I can win this. I'll be more angry than all you dudes, right? I'm not going to talk to you guys. So I get in, and Bruce is like, don't talk. Just sit and be quiet. And which is like, okay, that's all I was going to do anyhow, because I'm not going to act like I'm soft with these kids. So we drive, and we end up at this building, and I don't know what it is, but it's a cloudy day in Maryland. It's a cold-looking building. We get out. Bruce takes us in. He's like, hey, grab a trash bag. You guys are going to pick up trash. And he's like, the only rule is you pick up trash the whole time, and I want you to watch what's going on around you and tell me what you see later. So I remember getting out there, and I'm picking up the trash, and turns out we're at a hospital, a children's hospital in Baltimore, and I'm seeing all these little kids come out, and the one I remember, I couldn't tell if she was a boy or a girl because she was bald. They were bald, but they were in a wagon, and they're being pulled by what looks like mom and dad, and they have on the wagon has this pole, and there's all these bags stuck to it, and the tubes running down to them. And I've seen enough TV to know, okay, that's not healthy, but I'm watching it, and this little person's just smiling. And they're having the time of their life, and they're laughing, and their parents are laughing, and I'm like, dude, I'm over here angry. And all these dudes that are with me, we're all angry. And kid after kid that came out would have balloons and smiles on their face, and they're just happy to be out of the hospital, seeing the sunshine and feeling the fresh air. And Bruce doesn't talk to us, doesn't say a word to us. So I'm kind of feeling these emotions, feeling the feels. And he's like, okay, guys, let's go. Puts us back in the van. And we ended up going to Memorial Stadium. That's where the Orioles played at the time, and I loved baseball. And he's like, don't talk to anybody. Just get in your seats and watch everything around you. So we get in our seats, and that's like my heaven on earth. Like, if I could be at baseball games all day as a kid, that's all I do. So I'm watching, and the game ends. We get back in the van, and he starts asking us questions. He's like, hey, what'd you guys see at the hospital? And we're like, well, we saw sick kids. And he's like, how did they act? And we're like, well, they were happy. And he's like, huh, that's interesting. And he goes, what about the baseball field? Did you see people that maybe came from countries that didn't have what you guys have and don't have all the exposure you do and the opportunities you do? And we're like, yeah. And he goes, how'd they seem? And we're like, well, they were happy too. They were playing a game. And he's like, so you guys have all your health, your families, safety, security, and you're angry every day. You have opportunity to be whatever you want to be. You have a country where you can grow up to be anything, and you're angry. Yet those kids are making the most of their lives, and they're happy. These sick kids are fighting to live every day, and they're choosing happiness, so why can't you choose happiness? And I just remember thinking, like, that's a good point. Like, I choose to be angry.
Yeah.
And
at 12 years old?
12, 13 maybe.
Wow, that's a good realization.
Dude, it crushed me. It literally crushed me as to who I was becoming. And probably the saddest thing, like something that still bugs me, is I couldn't tell you Bruce's last name. I don't know where he's at in life. I never even once said thank you to that man. And he continued to pick me up probably, I don't know, it felt like every weekend now that I look back, but I know it couldn't have been. But he picked me up frequently that whole summer and continued to take me to do those things.
Wow.
And what was his gain?
Yeah.
Nothing, right? He had nothing personally to gain from investing in a group of angry 12-year-olds.
Right.
But he took a chance. And I don't know what came of the other young men. I don't remember them. But I know what it did for me.
Yeah.
And I think that, to me, is the moral of the story is the small acts. You don't know what impact it's going to make.
Yeah.
And you may not see it right away. But you continue to show up and you continue to do it, and then you have this great impact. So I've actually done some public talks on that in a little deeper detail, and I call it Thanking Bruce.
Yeah.
And it's kind of my way. If I share the story of what he did, maybe he hears about it and he knows I'm thankful.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be awesome. That would
You
be a
know,
cool
if we
story.
we cross paths again, because at that point, as a selfish, angry 12-year-old, I don't know, had he not intervened that summer, where I was headed, because I was out of control.
Yeah,
And
wow.
nobody else stepped up to bring me back in. And I know if you ask my mom, like, she would tell you that's probably one of the worst years of her life, is trying to rein me in and knowing that it wasn't working.
Wow.
So that's always motivated me to give small things here and there, because I don't know, it may be small to me, but it's huge to them.
Yeah.
Like for him, you know, I'm assuming these tickets were probably free. I don't know if he got paid to take it. I don't know. But I just know that little bit of time and a little bit of his thoughts put me on a completely different path.
Yeah, that's amazing. Obviously, Bruce is somebody who understands the impact that small acts can have. So what a blessing.
So do you have a Bruce in your life? Is there anybody that a time you feel that?
You know, that's a fantastic story. I don't have I can't think of a story of that caliber right now. But the one thing I did think of that was something small that really impacted me was on my 21st birthday. My brother took the time, and this was a time I had just gotten into entrepreneurship. You know, I left my nice oil and gas job with a nice salary, and I was getting ready to go to China for the first time to speak with manufacturers, and I was having doubts. You know, I felt alone. I was CEO of my, still am, but like, you know, running my own company. I've just been running it for 2 years, and I had to call the shots. Just felt a lot of pressure, and my brother he gave me a book, a binder, and in there was a picture and a paragraph from each and every single one of my family members. Some of my family members that I thought, no way they would ever write you a paragraph, you know, from my uncle, like Solomon, who's like so, you know, stoic and like doesn't really show much emotion, and my grandmother, and from both sides of the family, you know, my Buzlam Camarillo side, and it was just so cool that my brother took the time to reach out to all these family members, like, hey, it's my brother's 25th birthday. He's a quarter century. He really like made a big deal out of it. And, it probably cost him, $10 or less to make that. But the fact that he called these, all these family members and friends and lots of close friends and had them write a paragraph of, just wishing me a happy birthday and about our relationship. And he put a picture in with each one, and it's like, that was priceless. There's not a value that I could put on that, and it just made me feel so good and so special that birthday that he would go and reach out and put that together for me. So that's one thing
that's amazing. And have you used it since?
Yeah, it's funny. It's over there on my desk because I had found it cleaning up some stuff, and I was like, oh, let me bring it. I'll probably go flip through it.
Yeah.
I'll show you here after we record this episode. But yeah, it was definitely something that impacted.
And see, that's a small impact on his part, right? To reach out and share your story and get their input. I mean, look at the impact. Now you have it, and you'll forever have it. You can fall back on days of doubt, uncertainty, just to reminisce. And I think that is the key, man. Like, people don't realize these small acts become big pillars for people if you take the chance to invest in them.
Yeah.
And maybe for my story with Bruce, maybe those other 4 kids got nothing out of that time. I have no idea.
Right.
But I know I did.
Right.
And I think if all of us knew, okay, in the end, one of these 5 will feel like this changed their life, would we do it? Mm-hmm. Would we act? I'd venture to say, like, we live in such a kind world that most people would. Mm-hmm. But because they can't see it immediately, or they're not sure,
right, or
they're insecure, their own fears, their own limiting beliefs, they don't invest, well, then I'll guarantee you nobody benefits from your acts.
Yeah.
If you never act, nobody can have a benefit.
That's the thing. Small, consistent actions, even when you don't see the results, right? It's hard to continue to do in this day and age because we're so used to that instant gratification. But it truly is consistent small acts that have the huge payoff. How about, Jared, small acts that impacted others? Do you have a specific story or example?
Honestly, I think what we're doing is a small act, right? We had to face our fears of being judged, getting out here. Maybe the podcast would fall flat on its face. Maybe the Dat Grat videos wouldn't get a good review or good following. But we faced it, and now we do it every day. So I think, honestly, for me, I know that I am where I'm at because other people helped me get here.
Yeah.
So I'm hyper conscious to make sure I do small things every day, whether it's a kind word to somebody, coaching people, investing, sharing my thoughts, my journey, making sure I'm reading to stay current so I can help other people. So you get it all the time. When you decide to put other people first and really invest in them, I think you're going to find so much more fulfillment in life because you're constantly, for me at least, getting there's a state champion wrestler, Drake Engelking, that I coached when he was a little kid. I haven't probably coached him in 8 years. He's phenomenal. He won a state title this year, dislocated his thumb with about 30 seconds to go in the last period in a match he's winning. You could see that his thumb's going the wrong way. He refuses to give up, tapes it, puts his hand behind his back, wins his match. Pure courage.
Dang, yeah.
And then, 6 weeks later, I get a picture of him with his thumb taped up. And it says on the back, Coach Jared, thanks for all the time you invested in me. Wouldn't be here without you. Well, again, that time I invested was 8 years ago.
Wow.
But it pays off. And I share that not for ego or to say like, oh, I do this or you do that, but that we can all do that.
Right.
If we all just decide to act and help those around us and just really even if you just make it a point to get to know somebody around you. Mm-hmm. Me getting to know you might be the self-worth you were looking for to say, wait a second.
He wanted to know
He
me.
wanted to know me. Man, I have some value here. And maybe that changes their life.
Yeah.
But if we don't even take the opportunity, if we live in our box and behind the curtain all the time, so to speak, how many lives and opportunities to really be a difference maker for somebody are walking by us every day, but because we're not looking for them, we miss it.
Yeah. Yeah, it can be tough. It can be tough with back to fear, right? The fear of being judged, and it's funny, we fear judgment of being nice, right? Like you're saying, being a creeper, right?
Yeah.
When you're just like being a gentleman, right? Holding the door for people, being nice, smiling. Oh, creepy, right? That unfortunately there is some of that connotation out there, but I think that we will find when we choose to execute on positive small acts that it's a big positive impact, that we'll see it. We'll probably see it more quickly than some people can say. So I would say,
Yeah, I would agree. I think the myth out there is that people won't appreciate it, people won't value you, and the fact is they are going to. Everybody, no. But if I told you that stepping forward and sharing your story, because like we've talked about before, your story is truly your superpower. The things you've overcome in life, the things you face is what makes you uniquely you. If sharing that helped one other person overcome their issues, overcome their obstacles, it'd be worth it.
yeah,
So let's act.
exactly.
So what about you? I mean, because you're heavily involved. Dak Grat's phenomenal. If you guys aren't following that on Instagram, I strongly suggest you get there. One, Ollie is very funny with that stuff. Like, I laugh. I enjoy that. And then two, it's awesome hearing what people are grateful for.
It is.
And here's what I'll tell, at least what I find. If I'm not feeling grateful, because I don't feel it every day, I'm not going to lie.
Oh yeah, me too.
And then I hear somebody else what they're grateful for. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool that they're grateful for that. Now I got better start paying attention. So what small act are you most proud of that you've done that's impacted somebody else?
Mm-hmm. You know, for sure, the Dak Grat is an obvious one, and I'm really grateful for my my partner in Dak Grat, TJ Grissel, because we push each other to go to the next level. You know, I remember us talking about we need to do something daily, right? And because we had done once a week going out and interviewing a few strangers, and I told him, dude, why don't we each do a live video daily? You know, and I remember saying like 90 days, let's go. And him being like, oh man, like, dude, that's crazy. 90 days interviewing a stranger about gratitude each day. Like, that's a lot.
Right.
That's a lot, to where I was believing him. And I was like, you're right, man. Like, let's just start with 30 days. And he's like, nah, we're doing 90. He said 90. Like, let's get 90. And now, day 62, we have over 130 something gratitude interviews documented on video. Some people have cried, some people have laughed, you know, really, really deep content. So that's an obvious one. But I would say the most recent experience, and this was for sure from a gentleman who's impacted me in a huge way, but was this recent 5K with Be Bold.
Yep.
That I was inspired to do with Rustin Hughes, founder and president of Be Bold, Empowering Adaptive Athletes, on crutches. We had talked about doing a race, the human race, and I said, hey, I want to do it in solidarity with some of the disabled athletes, so let me know if you have an extra wheelchair or like a blindfolded run with a guide. And I called him the day before the race, and I said, hey, Russ, do you have an extra wheelchair or blindfold or anything? He's like, dude, so I saw this lady in Sterling, Colorado. She's an amputee. She did the 5K on crutches, so I'm doing it on crutches. I was like, bro, what? You're going to crutch over 3 miles? That is insane.
Right.
Are you serious? He's like, dude, she could do it. I could do it. You know, and just having that mental toughness, and especially to bring things full circle. This was just this past weekend, 3 days ago?
Right.
3 days ago. And Russ was like, yeah, man, I'm going to do it. And he didn't push me or anything, but just like his presence and just knowing what he's gone through, the adversity that he's done, I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
I haven't trained for crutches or anything, but I'm going to do it, even though in the back of my head it seemed impossible. I was honestly kind of worried about running 3 miles. Like, man, I haven't run in a while. But having someone like that made a huge impact. And you know what? I think that I haven't really – actually, I have. I've received a few messages of people saying, dude, what you did was really awesome. Like thank you for sharing that, because it really just made me realize that there's goodness out there, and it was just I didn't have a specific like statement to make, but I think I do think that Russ really appreciated it, and he said he did. He was thank you and insisted on buying my breakfast afterwards, even though I was like, I want to get yours, because you inspired me. But I think like what Russ is doing, just to be a part of his world, really empowering people who are quote unquote disabled, and showing them that they still don't have limits, missing a limb, all that. So that I feel was Russ impacted me in a way to be able to do this. To me, it was a small act. It took an hour and 5 minutes of my time, and I think that that's going to go a long way. And already from a few of the messages I've gotten, is people was like, wow, like that was truly something awesome.
And I think that story drives home a point that I think is very important for people to understand, is when you surround yourself with other people that are grateful, when you surround yourself with people that do small acts for others, like Rustin Hughes, adaptive athlete, adaptive boxing. He's phenomenal, but he's always looking out to, okay, how do I push my limits so that somebody else knows they can push theirs? It becomes contagious, right? You did a small act, and I love what you said. You did the small act, an hour and 5 minutes of 3 miles on crutches, and you don't have a specific comment that comes to mind. Nobody told you exactly what it did for them, but you felt like you contributed. Right? And I think that's the key to doing small acts is I don't do a small act watching to see if I get an immediate return from you.
Right.
And then that drives if I do another one. I do small acts because I know through sheer volume, if I do small things frequently enough, I will create impact. But more importantly, I will know I've offered to help. Yeah. Right? I'm part of a solution versus sitting back, keeping all my thoughts and ideas to myself and watching the problems of the world go by and not offering anything to fix it.
Exactly. And I mean, you saw those people at the 5K looking at Russ and I like, what the hell are these guys doing? You guys actually about to.
But here's my favorite part of that. Here's my favorite part. You did it, and you met somebody along the way, Carla.
Yeah.
Carla was struggling to walk the 5K, 5K. She ended up partnering up with you to tell you her life story of, just paraphrasing off the top of my head, I remember it was like addiction-based stuff, a lot of self-doubts, overcoming. So here's the crazy thing. You're struggling on crutches that you don't have to even be on. You could put your other leg down and finish much faster, yet you put ego aside to be in solidarity with Russ, to really push your limits, to show other people they can do it. And what happens? You attract somebody that's struggling to finish her own race.
Yeah.
So she now is talking to you thinking you're helping her. But in reality, you were thinking of quitting.
Yeah, I was like,
you were in pain,
Carla, please.
And her talking helped you.
Yeah.
Right? So there's so many times that when you do a small act, you may think, oh, he's helping me, but in reality, you may be helping them.
Yeah, no, I'm so glad you brought that up because I meant to mention that, but that was amazing.
It was unbelievable. So we get a picture with her afterwards. She feels part of our team. Mm-hmm. She went there not knowing anybody. Mm-hmm. And let's be honest, who wants to finish a 5K as the last person when they're pulling up all the stuff and here you come around the corner?
Yeah.
Right, that hurts. But you're coming around the corner with a guy on crutches.
Yeah.
You're in solidarity. You're helping each other. That's a whole different story. And think about the experience she had.
Yeah.
Like, I guarantee she will tell somebody else that story. But in her eyes, you helped her.
Right.
In your eyes, she was helping you.
Yeah. She was so grateful for it. She's like, thank you for letting me walk with you guys. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm so glad you're here, because Russ started pulling away towards the end.
Right.
And she stuck with me, and held my water bottle and was telling me her. And I remember, Jared, like I was having those doubts.
For sure.
After mile 2, I mean, I could barely open my hands. Everything was cramping up. And I remember just being like, all right, what's the next question I ask her? Like, I need her to keep talking to me. And I asked her another question. I actually learned a lot about her and her story, and
which is
what
unbelievable.
She was overcoming.
Unbelievable, right? Your questions helped her talk about her pains. And she connected with you on a level that she felt comfortable sharing the story of addiction and all her overcomings. So she is getting to share, and you're getting distracted from the pain, and you're getting to listen. But it's a small act. Like, how did that happen? Right? Well, you guys just decided to say hi to each other, or she decided to ask if she could help you.
Yeah.
One small act, and look what it led to.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
And that's what I want our listeners to take away from this podcast is commit to small acts.
Yeah.
Commit to daily doing something you're not normally doing. Greeting strangers, saying hello to somebody. For our young kids that are going to school and stuff, you see that kid in the lunchroom that has nobody to eat with day in, day out, eat with them. Go learn something about them. Like, if we start to really want to care about each other, really want to learn about each other, want to share with each other, one, the world's going to be a much better place for you. You're going to get way more joy. And two, we're going to start bringing people back into our circles instead of pushing everybody out based on differences, based on opinions, based on the way they look, what they eat, what divides us. Because there are so many people that want to keep us divided.
We have enough of that.
Yeah, and it's getting us nowhere. Divided people get nowhere in life. Let's bring people in. I want all the people that everybody else wants to push away. Bring them to our community because there's a place for them here.
Amen. Yeah, no, I love that. I love that. And if some of those examples that Jared gave seem a little bit too daunting, start smaller. You know, if you don't have the confidence to sit with the kid in the lunchroom, start by maybe asking him how his day was. Right? Just start small, but make sure that you start something. And remember, no act is too small.
Never.
Even just a compliment, even just checking in, how was your day? That small act can have much more of a massive impact than you could ever imagine. Actually, I do remember a story now thinking about lunchroom in middle school. I remember there was a kid like that who would always eat by himself. He had colored hair and the chains and everything. And I was a class clown. I would always be acting up, and I would always go by with him. I didn't really know his name, but I would say like a joke or say something funny and just try to make him laugh, even though I didn't know who he was. And I had found out later that he had actually attempted suicide. And later on, I had found out from one of the counselors that he had mentioned me as one of the people who helped him realize that, you know, that people were out there who actually cared about him and wanted to talk to him. And it was just me just being a dumbass, you know, like, hey, what's up, man?
Yeah.
You know, just interacting with him. And it was such a small act. So, no, I love that
But it was
you
a
said
choice.
that. Exactly.
Right,
Exactly.
and like Ali said, man, if it's too daunting, you're not at the point where you're like, hey, you know, sitting with that person, you know, is uncomfortable. How about this? How about just saying hi? How about setting a goal for yourself that you're gonna greet 10 strangers today? It could be in the line for the coffee shop, washing your car, going through the grocery. Just look people in the eye and say hello, and see where that gets you. Because if we truly want the world that many of us say we want, and you want gratitude, and you want gracefulness, and you want opportunity, share that with other people.
Right. You got to do it.
Right. And it's small acts that lead you places. I can't tell you how many important relationships I have in my life that have either impacted me greatly, maybe I'm impacting them greatly, or that I'm just thankful to have that started off one of us saying hello. And then exploring from there. Hey, man, how's it going? Good. What are you up to, right? And just understanding, like, there's so much to learn from each other.
Yeah.
You don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to always be right
And
to start to act and make the world better.
from a selfish standpoint, right? Let's say you're selfish and what's in it for me, right? To execute on good small acts. Well, the saying, the gift of giving, is one of the truest statements ever. And I used to think it was bullshit, like around Christmas and stuff as a kid, you know, like, oh, like, I don't want to give anything, like, what am I getting kind of thing. But if you're ever feeling down or you just need some sort of pick-me-up, executing on a small act of kindness inherently gives you that good feeling. And I mean, you guys know, I'm sure most of you have gone and done something for the homeless, or have talked to someone, have asked somebody about their day, have tried to do something kind for someone, and it feels good for you from a selfish perspective. If you need some more feel good, go decide to do something nice for someone.
Yeah, and if you're uncomfortable with that, your social circles don't feel that big, use your social media. Right, social media is a great opportunity to be grateful and kind to people all over the world, some of which you'll never actually physically meet in person, but you're impacting through the medium that's available.
Yeah, share a post about someone who you're thankful for, you're grateful for. Let them know.
Follow us on the Instagram, the On Purpose Podcast. Post it on the Instagram page, and we'll share it for you.
Yeah.
But the thing is, don't keep waiting to do small acts. You got just try them and see what they do. And if it fails, man, let us know. Hey, you guys are full of shit. I tried being nice to people and it got me nowhere. But I'm going to guarantee you that will not be the case.
Yep, 100% agree. And one more thing to keep in mind is that this small acts, big impact concept applies to everything. Even if it's not gratitude or something positive in the world, if you're consistently going to the gym, you're going to have big impact the way your body's going to look. If you're consistently having, a couple beers every single night, big beer gut, big impact is coming. So every small act that you consistently do, again, take inventory. What are these small acts that you're doing daily? You're going to get a big impact from them.
Yeah, and for our business folks out there, your business isn't doing well today. Well, I guarantee if you look back, you probably didn't do the small things last week that you needed to do to have a good today. So small things in all aspects of life will lead you to big results. However, if you're always just sitting back with the lottery type mindset that, hey, I'm just going to sit back and do nothing today and hope I win the lottery and that's going to change my life, there's going to be a lot of waiting for you.
Yep. Amen.
So let's do small acts every day in all aspects of life. Do the small things necessary, and you'll be shocked when you look back in a year at how far the small things have gotten you in your relationships, in your happiness, and business, and your career, whatever it is. Small things will propel you.
Yeah. Man, that was good.
Yeah.
I'm ready to execute on some small tasks I got for the day.
Let's give him some purposeful practice, Mr. Ali.
Yeah, so with the purposeful practice, we have our first giveaway ever on the On Purpose podcast, and that is an official B-Nails t-shirt. We welcome you to the colony. So for those of you who don't know, B-Nails is my business. We are a vaporizer brand for the purpose of improving lives through improving the process of smoking, vaporizing healthier alternatives to tobacco, to combustion, healthier alternatives in the cannabis and hemp realms. And one of our primary slogans is to be your best at all times. So it's going to be a t-shirt for people who submit the homework. We're going to pick one winner, and I'll let you know we don't get too many people who submit their homework. So you'll have a good chance if you submit your purposeful practice for this episode, 23 Small Acts, Big Impact. And that practice is step 1. Think of a time a small act impacted your life in a big way. What was it? Describe it, share it. And then part 2 is think of a small act that impacted someone else in a big way. What was it? Share it, describe it. And we actually don't have this one written down, Jared, but I think that one more piece we should look at is take inventory of what small acts you are currently consistently acting on, whether positive or negative. I think we can all say that, hey, this is what I'm consistently doing right now, whether it's positive or negative or not. So we're going to do 3 pieces. Inventory of the small acts that you're currently doing. And email your findings back to us at onpurpose.official@gmail.com.
Awesome. Yeah, that's the key differentiator between us and many other options you have for podcasting is we want follow-up. We want you to commit to making yourselves better. We'll give you practical steps to do it. We'll give you feedback on it when you submit it. So let's get moving down this trail of purposeful living together. Real quick announcement, we will have our first On Purpose workshop October 19th here in Fort Collins, Colorado.
Yes.
Be looking for that. We'll post that on our social media. It'll be an Eventbrite type registration. And I guarantee those 4 hours will be some of the best 4 hours you spend of the year. You will leave with a blueprint for creating your most purposeful life. So we are excited to bring that to you live and in person, and we think that's going to be a game changer for the podcast and for you as individuals as we continue to build this community moving forward.
Yes, can't wait. And just so you guys know, Jared and I talked a lot about this. We've developed a business plan for the On Purpose podcast, and we believe that this 4-hour workshop is at the very least valued at a $500 value because of everything that you're getting, because cross-referencing with other types of workshops that are out there. However, because it's our first one and because we want to give a lot of value up front and we're going to be asking more for feedback, this is going to be $25. $25, there's only going to be 20 people. $25 to get a blueprint for your life, and frankly, I'm excited to get mine because we haven't, Jared and I haven't gone through what we've created for this event, for this On Purpose workshop. So we're extremely excited, and I think that the value is absolutely you're gonna get a 20 to 100x return on your investment, depending on what you bring to the table, because we're not creating this blueprint for you. You're going to be creating it through working with us and allowing us to ask you questions and things like that.
Yeah, and you're going to be part of the community, and we are excited to continue down this path, and only big things are coming, so we appreciate those of you that have been with us from day one. We welcome those of you that are jumping in at episode 23 or wherever you've come in. There is a place for everybody in the community, and that place gets better and more prominent the more you invest in yourself, doing that purposeful practice, sharing your results, and we are excited to develop the leaders behind us as we continue to create purpose in the world.
Amen.
So with that, remember, team, life is far too short to live any other way than on purpose. We thank you for being here, and we'll see everybody next week.